I took a lot of people for the ride of their life. Being one of the biggest automotive TV shows in the world, Top Gear, great show, they decided to launch the Top Gear USA version through History Channel. Leading up to the launch of the show, Top Gear USA and History Channel got together and figured out a way to promote the show. They decided to rent 6 exotic cars for New York City for 1 week and 6 for the West Coast for 3 weeks. And these weren't standard rentals. They decided to wrap all the cars in bright yellow and put History Channel and Top Gear logos on the side and a big thing on the roof to make it look like a taxi. So I got roped into this and I was hired to drive a SLR McLaren for 3 weeks, and obviously 1 week in Vegas, 2 weeks in LA. And it was a pretty interesting experience to say the very least. Getting to daily drive a SLR McLaren. I've driven them before, but not on a daily basis as my only car to drive. So at the time I was working for Gotham Dream Cars, and these cars were rented through Gotham, and I was assigned to the SLR McLaren specifically. No one else could drive it, but during some of the stops, other drivers got tired. They didn't want to do certain jobs, so I ended up driving pretty much every car that was shipped out to the West Coast. The Rolls-Royce Phantom, the Lamborghini LP640, the Ferrari 458, and then there was a Porsche 911, just a base 911, and Camaro Firebird conversion type thing. So pretty interesting. So our first week was in Las Vegas for SEMA, and at SEMA there was a taxi stand for people to line up and come in a queue to go for a ride in any one of the 6 cars that happened to be available. And I took a lot of people for the ride of their life around a dedicated loop that we had. And along the time that we were there, I met all 3 hosts for the show. So I got to drive Tanner Faust around for one night in the Ferrari 458 that we had, because driver was tired from the day, and I said, yeah, I'm not going to complain driving a Ferrari 458. Since I worked for Gotham, I was allowed to drive any of the 6 cars. And it was pretty interesting driving around Tanner Faust on the Vegas Strip with his assistant sitting on the passenger floor, bringing him to different PR appearances he had to make. And it was a pretty interesting night. He wanted me to hammer it everywhere we went, but I held back. I didn't want to get in trouble driving around on the Vegas Strip and promoting the Top Gear show. After our week in Las Vegas for SEMA, we had 2 weeks in LA, which we attended multiple local car events and just little things here and there, but mostly driving around major populated areas with these cars wrapped like taxis that looked pretty wild. So driving around the SLR McLaren over the 3 weeks, putting 1,000 miles on it, got really comfortable with the car, really got to appreciate everything about the SLR McLaren. It got a lot of flack for having automatic transmission, 5-speed, but when you drive that car and you get to spend proper time behind the wheel pushing it, I really got the proper experience from the SLR McLaren. As you know, with Los Angeles, there's a lot of traffic, so I got to experience everything from sitting in rush hour bumper-to-bumper traffic, tearing through the canyons in Malibu, driving Mulholland Drive, cruising around Rodeo, just being seen everywhere. And it was a pretty interesting experience just driving around these very highly populated places, looking to be seen and promoting the show for Top Gear USA. And it was a huge thing that History Channel was undertaking with the new show, and this promotion went very, very well, and I had a great time driving SLR McLaren for 3 weeks.